Woody's World is brought to you by Shanahan's Restaurant, Shanahan's Steakhouse to be even more specific. And I invite you to go, as I do all the time. It's sponsored by, as I said, Shanahan's Steakhouse, and the teleprompter's going to catch up with me. By the public, it's been voted, now I sound like a character out of Star Wars. By the public, it has been voted as Denver's best restaurant. And you and I, if we voted, well, how would we vote?
Shanahan's number one.
That's right.
Or as Yoda would say, number one, Shanahan's.
Good. Open Table's 2015 Diner's Choice winner. And I use Open Table all the time. So book a reservation today. And here's how you do it specifically and straightly. And that's go to shanahansteakhouse.com. This is Woody's World. And today I want to talk about Irv Moss. Irv Moss has been a writer for the Denver Post for probably 50 years. And when the Rockies were coming to town, Irv Moss wrote a column saying there should be a roof over the stadium. And people just laughed and laughed and laughed and said, "You're not going to put a dome stadium in Denver?" And I laughed and laughed and laughed. And I said, "Irv," I was his boss, and I said, "Irv, do you really want to do this?" He wrote like 4 pieces on and interviewed engineers. And he interviewed a scientist who said he could do it in a cheap way. Since that time, I've wondered if Irv Moss isn't the only person in Denver who was absolutely right. For 2 reasons. One, I went to the Roman Coliseum, and people don't realize, if you've ever seen it or if you've ever seen pictures of it, you go, "Well, that doesn't have a roof." Yes, it did. Had a roof. They had, if you could picture in your mind, quilts. They had flaxen or whatever was popular cloth, and they would roll it all the way across the top of the Coliseum on sunny days or on winter days. And never thought about the Coliseum was the first domed stadium. There are dome stadiums everywhere. Rockies played in one yesterday in Milwaukee. 45 degrees, perfect weather indoors. There are dome stadiums all over the place. Arizona, because there's heat, they have a dome stadium. Miami has a dome stadium, and I'll get back to that. Why would Denver, with 300 days of sunshine and the greatest weather in the world, have a dome stadium? Now I'm getting to my point of Woody's World. If you had a dome stadium here, you could create humidity in there. And Les would get his wish, because if you created false humidity in there with misters and with turning the air conditioning up or turning the heat on, you could create a natural world inside an unnatural building. So Irv Moss may have been onto something. And people go, "Well, what about the fireworks nights?" Yeah. Well, but the point is, do you want a team that could contend? I wrote on Sunday that the Rockies aren't willing to listen to anybody outside, and they won't listen to anybody about a dome stadium. And I don't agree with a dome stadium. I don't want a dome stadium. But I keep saying, and I said it to Les last week, have an Aspen Institute type conference. You go, "Well, what is the Aspen Institute?" It's where you bring together some great leaders and people, great thinkers. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz. If you think about the Scarecrow, he was a great thoughter. You bring these people together, engineers, mechanical engineers, physicists, scientists, former major league players, and out of 105 ideas, there might be 5 or 6 that would make sense. And one of them that's going to be brought up, because it's been brought up to me, is why not a dome stadium where you can create humidity in there? That I've been told over and over again that the humidor is a mistake, that it is a terrible mistake. It really doesn't create what you want it to do with the baseball, or what you want it to do at elevation or altitude. Now, back to the Miami Marlins to close today. They were smart enough in South Florida to put up a dome stadium because it's so hot there and it's rainy and it is just so humid, because you create humidity in the South. So yesterday they have opening day. It's a beautiful day in South Florida. They leave the roof open. Well, a thunderstorm came and they had a rain delay. A dome stadium with a rain delay because they weren't smart enough to figure out, oh, there's a cloud over there. It's coming. Let's close the roof. If you drive a convertible, you pull over and put the roof up. You don't work driving. They had 17 minutes, a terrible rainstorm, and they had to delay the game. Opening day, Miami Marlins, the owner said, to quote, I thought we had a roof. We could have had a dome stadium. Would you want a dome stadium in Denver? Think about it. I'm Woody Paige, and that's my opinion. I'm Woody Paige, and you're not.